Hi, welcome, this is Rich. Welcome to another one of my how-to wall docking videos. Today we're at the house of Dan Boardman. He's my landlord. We're in his family room. He's done a remodel. He's taken some walls out, moved some things around. We're going to do a hand swirl texture on his walls today with some sand in it. Follow along and hope you enjoy the video. Call me anytime. Alright, so I'm going to start up in the corner with this big monster roller. I'm just going to get a big flop texture up in there. I'm really not too concerned about how flopped it is up in the corner, because when I do my swirl, I pull that sand that's up in that corner down to me. I'll try and use the roller up in the corner roller the same way every time, with my steel arm pointing down, and at least I'm consistent when I come through. And give her a back rub. Take the far corner. And sometimes you get some up the side. Get some sausage lines up the side. And that's okay. Just lay it out the side of your roller here. Alright. I'm going to come up the side of this soffit just a little bit to make the wall next time easier. Come about halfway up to the tape joint. And I'm not worried about an overlap or a shadow here after the fact. Okay, nice quick release. Make sure you relax your handle again and safety glasses. Safety first when you're doing this stuff. I'm going to take the weenie roller next, and in the corner where it didn't get, you don't want to be real graceful. Don't want to be too sloppy about it. Just kind of dab it up in there. It'll give you a nice build. And if you see any high spots that need, you definitely come down, run them down. Get these top here. A little bit, just doing a little bit of cutting in with it. Alright. Alright, so what I want to do next is I want to start with like a 3 foot by 4 foot section. I was going to start right here in this corner of the wall here. I'll roll this out, and then I'll start with my swirl and bring it down and blend into what's over on the wall. And optimally, that's the way it's going to go. We took a cup and 3/4 of sand texture additive, and put it in with the texture that Dan had purchased. We found that it wasn't quite heavy enough to match the old stuff. So again, I'm going to put her on, and I'm not going to be too anal about it. I want to make sure she covers. Take her up to as high up to the ceiling line as I can. You have to be able to keep a wet edge when you're doing this, so here in about 5 minutes after I show you how I'm setting this up, Dan's going to be taking the stick and he's going to roll ahead of me, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the hand swirl finish thing. Okay, so I got about a 3 foot by 7 foot roll out. These ceilings are actually pretty low. And then all I want to do is I want to take my texture brush, and all you're trying to do is create a horseshoe and bring them down. And it doesn't have, and you want it totally random. Come up your bottoms. And I'm just bringing in the sides. Take it all the way down, and it just saves cutting in. And now it just gets fun because you're just overlapping, you're swirling. No rhyme or reason really. Double back, but work your way down so that you can try and cover your last swirl. And I'm taking it into the other texture. It's starting to get dry pretty quick, so that's why I'm just kind of showing you right now. Dan will be on the mop here in just a few minutes. And like I said, I'm just doing a horseshoe and overlapping. You don't want to see the overlaps. If you got to come back up, you can still move this stuff around. It's got a good 10 or 15 minutes that you can work with it. As you can see, I wound up with a little bit of get out of it. Could overlap some of my horseshoes a little better. There we go. She just blends right back in. If I get Dan to zoom in on this now, this is kind of the effect that we're going to be looking to get throughout the whole basement now. After this dries for a couple of days, then Dan and I are going to go ahead and paint over this. Let your texture set up for a couple of days and get good and hard and cure. The texture we're using has a built-in, has a primer additive with it. Might be a couple of dollars more a gallon, but well worth it. Good. Okay. Aim at this thing here. Okay. And what I'm going to do here, while Dan's got the camera running, we'll put some texture. He's got some patches, and we definitely don't want to texture the whole place. That's why when we made our texture, I blended it to match the aggregate that's on the wall. As you can see, what I'm doing is I'm just put it on real heavy, almost to where it's dripping off the wall, and then it'll blend into the aggregate and move it over a little bit. And again, I'm just doing a very random, no rhyme or reason. Swirl effect, other than I want my points, my crown facing up. And it's just that easy to fix these patches. After a couple of coats of paint, this is going to look really, really nice. Okay, got the main part of the room done now. We'll step back a little bit. Got the ceilings done, and this whole area is textured over there and touched up to where Dan wanted it done. Came up this wall, everything underside is done. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to start on this wall here and bring it over around the doors. And then I'm going to get into some full walls. We scrape the old texture off. If you're going to try and blend and you've got some cheap knockoff texture, cheap sand texture on there, go ahead and knock it off with a straight edge. We used a taping tool. There you go. Use something like that just to do it. So it should be all good. We'll get this thing rolled out and alrighty, so there you have it. We've got all the texturing done. A little more than 6 hours to do it with Dan and I doing it. The pink walls, salmon, if you will, mauve, whatever you want to call it. He had some blemishes on there, and what we did was we put the texture on with the roller, let it set for a little bit. Put a little bit of a swirl into it to blend in with the rest of his walls. And then came back and hit it one more time. It really built it up and dragged it across. Here's where this little bit here, I don't know if you can see this. There you go. Hopefully the shading will be a lot better. This is where there was a wall divided, so what I did was I blended back both ways without getting into too much of a crazy swirl. But this was that outer wall that I showed earlier that was pretty pink, and I chose to just go ahead and retexture the whole wall. Coming through here, and the lighting might not be the best, but you can see the break off lines going up the stairwell. He had a new drywall, knocked it down, and he finished it off. Now I'll come back next week and we're going to do the painting of it, give it a couple of coats of some fresh paint, and get back there. Get Dan in the picture. So what do you think, Dan? Do you like the work that we did today?
It's looking really good. It'll be great to have it all done.
Get some paint up on the walls and she'll look really sharp. There you go, folks. There's some hand texturing done. Anybody interested in trying to do something like this, feel free to give me a call. My phone number will be posted at the end of